Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy hump day, middle of the week. We are on Wednesday right now, and Bitcoin and the miners, well, majority of the miners didn't do too well. Bitcoin was down a little bit as well. Profit taking, possibly. We'll take a look at what's going on there. We'll also take a look at, what do we have? Oh, is the cycle the same as last cycle? We'll take a look at that. I posted that on Twitter earlier today. We'll go over that really quick, and then we'll take a look at a new metric for the miners as well, sats per BTC. It also looks at sats per BTC HODL. So we'll look at those two things as well, and then we'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things, and anything else that might come up, we'll talk about it as well. But you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research, and my full disclosure down below that. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. As you can see here, Bitcoin was down today. It basically gave up all the gains that we had yesterday. It was down 1.78%, closed at $63,130. We closed below our, well, what's supposed to be our support at 63,700, and also closed below the 200 simple day moving average, which is the red line here. A little bit of green here that we saw. But it's down below that. It is picking back up here a little bit. On the new day, we were down to a low of 62,652. We are currently at right now 63,348. So we are up a little bit here, about 0.31% on it. Okay, the miners, for the most part, didn't do too well, but they also didn't do too bad either, I think, based on what we were seeing here. So the only ones that were up was BitDeer was up 3%. Cypher was up nicely today. Continuation from what it had yesterday. You can see a nice gain here. It was up much higher than that, but it came back down from it. So it was up like 18, 19. I think it was close to like 20% up at one point. Let's see who else was up here today. DMG was up just a little bit, 2.96%, and Hut 8 was up just slightly, 0.24%. Also, it gave back quite a bit of its gains here throughout the day as that happened. Who else was up here? Nobody else was up here today. Everybody else was in the red. Okay, so that's it on that one. As far as where we're standing here in September, with a couple more days to go in September, we are right here. We are up 6.39% on the month so far. So it's looking like it's in line with what we thought maybe would happen with like the 2015, 2016 cycle. So that's looking pretty good. Now, let's talk about, is this cycle the same as last cycle? So I did go back to last cycle after the halving event, about 160 days out, to take a look at where the miners were at that point. And the miners that we did have mining that were publicly traded at that point was Bitfarms, Marathon, Riot, Hive, Hut 8. There were probably also a couple of the smaller miners as well. I think DMG, Digihost was also at that time. I'm trying to think who else was operating at that time. This was back in 2020, right? A lot of the companies that we cover now either switched over to Bitcoin mining or went public in the last couple of years. Excuse me, in the cycle of the peak cycle in 2021 as well. Okay, so we had IREN at that time, Cypher, TerraWolf. Trying to think who else. CORZ was a different beast at that point. Also, I don't have the data on CORZ because CORZ changed over their ticker symbol. But who else was there? Cleanspark. Cleanspark transitioned from a microgrid provider to a Bitcoin miner. So we don't have those guys here. But based on the data that we have here, here's what we got. So I wrote, we are approximately 160 days past the halving in Bitcoin. If we look at the last cycle, we can see that tomorrow, Riot, were the only ones that outperformed here. Marathon was up 191% from the halving, which is the red line over here. You can see that. And it went actually quite much higher than that in the beginning, but it kind of pulled back down here. So it was about 160 days out, about 191% up. Riot was up 56%. Bitcoin was up 36% at that point. And we had Hive being up 13%, right? And then pretty much, who else did we have? Bitfarms was actually down 21%. And Hut 8 was down 26% at that time as well. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of see what happened at that cycle, 160 days out. And then when we looked at it on this cycle right now, we can see that Hut 8 kind of had a similar move up here like Marathon did. And the miners here, Bitcoin is actually, let's see, it's down just a little bit here. It's down 0.66%, but we had a huge rally in Bitcoin before the halving event, which we've never had before. But when we look at some of the miners that are outperforming Bitcoin now, we got Hut 8 up 57%, Hive 21%, Bitfarms up 11% compared to Bitcoin, and the Marathon is actually down 2.5%. And where's Riot? Riot's down 18% right now. So it kind of flipped a little bit from the last cycle we saw with the big miners. We're seeing some of the miners that are maybe smaller with HPC play potentially doing a little bit better. But overall, I'm seeing the same kind of setup here more or less, where Bitcoin was up, sure, Bitcoin was up a little bit higher, but we didn't have Bitcoin being up before the halving event. So that, I think, impacted it as well. overall, I think it is still the same kind of cycle that we had in the past, and which would then lead me to believe that going forward into October, November, we should see nice rally in Bitcoin and the miners as well after that. So I think it still is the same cycle until it gets disproven. I'm going to be of the thought that this is a repeat of what we saw. It's slightly different, but not a lot different. Okay, on that one. So that's it on that one. Also, we'll have you guys here. I almost forgot to talk about this a little bit here. Let me see here. I wanted to go into here. If you guys didn't get a chance to take a look at Bryce and Anthony's channel, Bryce McNally's channel, today they had the interview with Ben Gagnon from Bitfarms. It was actually really, really good. He provided a lot of insight into their thinking behind buying out Stronghold. And it so happens that he was visiting the site back in 2020, before even Stronghold went public at that time. He did state that there were some issues with the machines that they got at that time, other things like that, but they've been following them and they've been interested in them for a long time. And finally this year when Stronghold came out, their board and also the management there said that they were looking for strategic alternative things with the company, which meant basically a sale. That's when they really got more interested in it, and they did some more due diligence on it, and they've been doing due diligence on them. So that was good to hear there. As far as the exahash growth for them, it's still on track for 21 exahash this year. The reason that they are putting 10,000 T21 machines with Stronghold right now is because they can do that faster than if they had to wait until the Paraguay site is going to be built out and energized in December, right? So they're doing that so they can benefit from that. So I think that's good. It's good that they're on 21 exahash track, and then they have 35 exahash sometime next year. Ben said that they will provide more details of that as it becomes available, but they are also thinking that the acquisition of Stronghold will be completed sometime in the first quarter of 2025. And he pointed out a lot of great things that they could possibly do with that site. So to me, it was really, really good information, and it made me a little bit more bullish on Bitfarms as it was. So if you're in Bitfarms or thinking about getting into Bitfarms, definitely check it out. Bryce and Anthony did a great job there on the questions and everything else. It's about an hour long, but it's definitely worth a listen there. Okay. Also, I listened to, who else was it? Cleanspark with H.C. Wainwright, the interview that they did there. They had Matt there and Zach. And that interview was also great. I thought the answers that they gave were excellent. The progress that they're making is excellent. So I'm still really, really bullish on Cleanspark as well. If you haven't checked that out, I think I provided a link to the Patreon members there. That's a direct link to the video where you don't have to actually sign up or sign in to watch the video there. And I think I also reposted it on Twitter. Not the link, but where you have to sign in. Okay, but check those out if you haven't already. All right, so that's it on my thoughts on those two things. And then let's take a look at a couple metrics that we have here that are new here a little bit. So one of the metrics is HODL sats per share. So what we're doing there is we're taking the amount of BTC HODL that they have, each company, and number of shares, and we're getting sats per share. So sats, you get 100 million sats per Bitcoin. So then if you divide or multiply, you can go back either way, right, between the two. So based on this information, HODL to stats, we can see that HUT8 is possibly a better play if you're looking at HODL here, because they have approximately 9,996 sats per BTC HODL, per one Bitcoin HODL. So that's the best metric there. Marathon is in second place with 8,810 sats per BTC or per share. Riot at 3,300, followed by Cleanspark at 3,046. Even though Riot has 10,000 BTC in HODL and Cleanspark has only 7,558, they're pretty close to each other there, off by about 250 sats or so. Hive is then next at 2,188 sats per share. And then you got Cypher at 684, BitDigital at 496, and Bitfarms at 258. And then Core, BitDeer, Iris, and TerraWolf don't have HODL positions right now. Okay, next metric that we also will introduce here going forward is sats per share from their production. So this is based on the production from August right now. Based on these numbers here, we can see that, Marathon had 629 BTC generated in August, Cleanspark 478, number of shares that they had at that time as well that we know of. And then we get the sats per share. So Marathon came in number one with 213, followed by Cleanspark with 192. Then you got CORZ Scientific at 138, BitDeer 131, Iris 130, Riot 106, Hive 95, HUT8 81, Bitfarms 54, Cypher 41, BitDigital 38, along with TerraWolf. So this is also a pretty good metric here to take a look at, because this then basically shows you how much they're generating per share, sats, basically sats converted over to USD, and then you can figure that out as far as what they are being valued per share per BTC produced, more or less, on it. So I thought this was kind of also interesting metric to take a look at. And we'll include that with everything else that we look at here with the miners, with BTC per exahash, BTC per enterprise, all the metrics that we take a look at we'll include in this as well, in the monthly charts going forward. But just something to take a look at, something a little bit different from where we look at exahash efficiencies and all those other things. But this is just shares and sats per share on it. Okay, let me know what you guys think of that. And that's basically it. So let's get into you guys' Q&A side of things here. As always, you guys know Patreon members get access to all these. $8 a month. The link is in the description for that if you want to take part in that and help support what I do. Okay, so that's it. Let's get into a Q&A. See if you guys have any questions. If not, we'll call it a day. Okay, let's see here. What kind of questions do we have here? Let's see. Andy asked here, let's see. Hey, Seb, did you see the Ben Gagnon interview with Bryson? Yeah, I just talked about that. Hopefully you were able to catch that. That was just a couple minutes ago. What else here? And what else we got? Okay. Para asked the same question. Hey, Seb, just watched Ben's interview. I thought Stronghold was a clever way to dilute Riot, but I don't think he'll admit it or legally can for the matter. I don't think it was to, if they were looking at it 3 years ago, that makes me think this was not part of diluting Riot in any sense. Plus, that hasn't happened yet, right? The dilution is going to happen when they actually do go through the deal. So this is before. The dilution hasn't happened yet on it. What else we got here? Okay. Kite says, saw the interview with Cleanspark. They mine more than 2 BTC of market price MicroStrategy. Hello. The HODL strategy could play a huge role in funding future growth. Metal, yellow, first, red. I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, that's something that they've said, and that's something that they've done in the past as well, is the HODL that they have now, they will eventually sell some of it, if not majority of it, but still keep some to then fund the growth going into the bear market again. Can rinse and repeat the same thing. So I thought that was great. Let's see. Bevneet says, Seb, Bitfarms is becoming my biggest position now with almost 10,000 shares, although I hope 3 to 5x. I believe it will do that and then some. And I have quite a bit of shares in Bitfarms also right now. I'm a little bit higher than you are, just a little bit, not much. Question, what are your thoughts on Cleanspark's money revenue? Is it going to outperform for September? Thanks. Monthly revenue. Yes, it should. They increased more hash rate. It should be higher than what it was in August, I believe, especially with Bitcoin price going up as well. Hi, Seb, any hurricane fears for Cleanspark? Not really. They're in Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Wyoming now. So not really. Not unless they get a tornado going through one of those facilities. And I don't give that a high chance of possibility. I know that there's a hurricane coming up through the Florida Panhandle going up to Georgia and all that stuff. So by that time, it should be a weekend storm. It'll be just like a, what do they call that? Not a hurricane, but a tropical storm or something like that by that time. Okay. Let's see. Benny says, Joe Dog says, what's your average? So your average on Bitfarms is 204. I'll give you guys mine. Mine's like $1.60 something right now. All right. Covered this, I think, already. Are you worried about Cleanspark sites in Georgia in the path of the Hurricane Helene? No, like I said. By that time, once it gets there, I think it'll be like either a Category 1 at the lowest end, or it'll be a tropical storm by that time. Let's see. Sean asks, Seb, should I get 50,000 Bitfarms shares or 10,000 IREN shares? Thanks. I would split it between a couple of miners because you just never know. One good news story for one of these guys could pop them up much higher than the others. So I like to stay diversified for that reason. Ryan says, I wish I bought more IREN when it dropped. A lot of people make that mistake, right? they see a drop in there and get fearful instead of being bullish on it long term. Short term, like I said, there's always going to be volatility, but long term, if you're looking at long term, next 12 months or so, then drop is basically a sale on the stock, and it's a good time to get in. So do you think the bull run will start mid-October? I'm thinking maybe even early October, possibly. If the cycle is the same like last one, we should see a nice run up in October along with November. We should have also a green December for the most part, but we might have a sell-off a little bit towards the end of December for profit taking and taxes and all those reasons. Okay. Para says, got my dad to take a chance and invest 50 big ones in my top miners today. Took a while to convince him since he has to be willing to lose it all. Haha. Went 20% Bitfarms, 20% Cleanspark, 20 IREN, 40 Mawson. Very nice. Oh, he's going to be thanking you next year if things play out the way we think they are. Let's see. Why don't the three biggest mining companies invest in HPC, IMR, Riot, Cleanspark? Isn't that a bit weird, or are they smarter than the other miners not to do that? There's a lot to unpack in that question. Mara has kind of hinted towards it. I believe they got board members that have HPCI experience on there, so there might be something that they are looking into. Riot, I don't know if it's just because of the facilities being in Texas. They would have to do a lot to get to like a tier 3 data center where you need, uptime guarantees and things like that. That would be a lot. It would be a lot for any of these miners here, especially. The build up for that is so much more expensive than building out for Bitcoin mining that you need somebody like CoreWeave to come in and kind of back you on doing something like this if they wanted to partner with you. But a lot of this, I think, is going to be based on the hyperscalers are going to go at it alone. If anything, they will buy out one of these guys here or their sites, maybe not all of the company, but maybe just the sites they want, and not even deal with Bitcoin. And they will go at it alone. That's kind of the way I see things. I could be wrong on that, but that's kind of why I think some of the bigger guys, like Cleanspark, you said Riot, and Marathon's kind of toying with the idea, it looks like now. But Riot and Cleanspark, they see how expensive it is to build out like a tier 3 data center and everything else. Cleanspark did state it in their HC Wainwright interview that they do have a couple of sites that could be like tier 3 data centers, I believe, that they have. And that would be, I can't remember what exactly they said as far as megawatts, 50 to like 200 megawatts potentially, something like that. So they do have the possibility there, and they said if the opportunity comes around, they would be maybe open to it. But you just never know. So I think that's why it's just a lot of capital that has to be put into it. And unless you get a deal like CoreWeave with Core Scientific, it's going to be very, very tough for these guys to do that. Let's see. What are the odds Hyperscaler makes a deal with IREN? Oh, I don't know what the odds would be. I mean, they could buy out one of their sites, the 1.4 gigawatt site that they have or something like that. It's not like basically a brownfield right now or a greenfield. They could possibly do that, right? Let's see. Ed says, hi Seb, this probably seems nonsense to you, but I'd like to mention it anyway. Bitfarms stock price had 6x from December 30th, 2022 to December 30th, 2020. Do you think Bitfarms stock price should at least 2x on December 30th, 2024 from where it was December 2023? Where was it December 23rd? Let's take a look. Let's see if we can pull that up just so I can do the math on it really quick. Bitfarms, this is the daily. Let's see if we can go back to the beginning, December, at the end of December. So it was up to right around, where was it? Right around here, 356, 2x. Yeah, I'm saying right now it should be 2x to be fairly valued like its peers, based on the hash rate that they have, operational uptime, all that stuff, and they're not being valued for it. So I think they should be just because of that alone. And then we could actually get a little bit more from that if Bitcoin starts going up to like closer to 100,000 by the end of the year as well. So it should be interesting in the next couple months to see where these guys go run up here on stock price overall. Okay. Seb, what are your price targets for Cleanspark and Mara by March 25th? Thank you. By March, gosh, I don't know. Depending where Bitcoin's at that point, I would expect them to do, if Bitcoin just does a 2x, I don't think it's going to do a 2x. Maybe it does a 2x by then. Cleanspark and Mara should be at least 3 to 5x of that. So That's kind of where I would see them from here. See, Ryan says, I hope there's a good IREN pullback and I won't be fearful and will buy heavy. Yeah, and that's always the tough part, right? Buying when it's dipping, because you just keep thinking it's going to keep dipping. If it keeps dipping, you buy more, unless things really change and the way that we're seeing things may be playing out. But I haven't seen that yet, and that's why I've been buying as well as much as I can. Let's see. Did you see Rob Samuel's post on X about TAM for Mara's 2-pick today? Thoughts? TAM, is that the one where Fred Theos talking about the HPC hyperscalers possibly using the 2-pick immersion? So that's 2-phase immersion cooling technology. I don't know. I don't know how that would work out. I know that the machines there, I mean, it's tough because I would need to do more research on it, but I think historically you don't really want to use those inside of 2-phase immersion cooling. There might be some benefits, but I don't know. That's tough. Okay, Craig says, my opinion, if Harris gets elected, BTC no higher than 120,000. Time will tell, right? What else here? I heard Mara doesn't even mine anymore. Where'd you hear that? They're still mining. Not sure if it was true or not because they changed name to Mara Holdings. They're still mining. They still have machines. They're going to, if they do change their stance to be Mara Holdings and they stop mining eventually, maybe so at that point. But right now they're going to be mining for as long as they can, especially once we get going into this bull run. It's going to be definitely very, very profitable for them. Let's see. Kevin asks, would you say your price targets for miners are more on the conservative side? I don't think I've seen a price target for IREN over 25 to 30. No, they are conservative for the most part. I still think IREN could get to like around $80 by the end of the cycle. That's as Bitcoin goes above 150, 180,000, maybe 200,000, somewhere around there. That's kind of where I would see IREN. But right now, just short term, if we're looking at it, then I would think 3 to 5x is doable if Bitcoin goes to 2x. Could do better than that, but I'm being conservative on that number. Let's see here. Also, who are the hyperscalers? Isn't it just the 3? Are all the Bitcoin miners going to get a deal with them? I'm skeptical considering that they have only made nuclear deals so far. And that's why I'm skeptical as well. But the 3 are Amazon, Google, Microsoft, probably Meta in there. You can also have Oracle in there, and there's probably a couple other ones in there as well. But those are kind of like the big ones, right? The hyperscalers there. So yeah, I'm also skeptical on them doing a deal with any of these guys. If they do a deal, it's going to be a buyout deal on either sites, property, or just right out to buy the company out, and they're going to scrap the Bitcoin mining side of things and put in data centers that make sense to them. But I think there's only a couple of them that would make sense on that. I think Riot would be one of those. They have large megawatt sites. Same thing with IREN, Cypher, TeraWulf. Who else? There's another one. Oh, gosh. Oh, what's the other one there? I'm drawing a blank right now. Marathon, Riot, Cypher, TeraWulf, IREN. I think those are like the ones that are kind of like the ones that they might go after. Let's see. Rob says, Ben said HPC takes much more money to run. Sounded like he was off it. No, he did say in the interview that if they do what they're going to do, like a 1 megawatt test pilot, right? Learn from that experience and then possibly do more if it makes sense for them. But he said the costs have to be there, and also the cost of operations and things like that have to be in there as well to make it worthwhile for them. So it's still going to be down the road. It's not going to be anytime this year, possibly maybe late next year, if at all, when they start dabbling into this, it seems like. Price target for Wolf at cycle peak. Do we see Wolf cross 25? And that's a question mark there because recently Wolf has not said anything about their growth plans for 2025. Plus, they haven't really mentioned anything further growth for this year with Bitcoin mining. It seems like they're pivoting more so towards the HPC play. They do have a great site there with ample water and everything else that would be attractive to maybe somebody that's like a hyperscaler to buy them out and call it a day. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. With them not growing their hash rate, it's tough for me to figure out where they could possibly be. Crossing $25, I mean, they're at what, $6? What are they at now? Right now, let me take a quick gander on it. $5. So they're at $5. That would be roughly a 5x Maybe. I mean, they've been catching the bid right now on the HPC side of things, not so much on their operations. If we look at their Bitcoin operations, they're way overvalued based on that right now. Hank says, thanks, Sebastian. Got to sleep. LOL, hit the like, guys. Thanks, Hank, for coming in. And I got to respond to a couple of your comments in the videos as well. I'm just behind on those. I will get to those. See, Kite says, Trump or Harris should never talk about Bitcoin. Now, if Trump loses, it will add more downside. I don't care. To be honest with you guys, I don't care if they talk about it, if they promote it or not. Bitcoin has historically done whatever it's going to do regardless, right? It is not just tied to the United States. We seem to think that we are, somehow the world's biggest draw of Bitcoin, and that's not always the case. So Bitcoin's going to do whatever it's going to do because it is a world store of value, world currency, whatever you want to call it. Whatever happens here in the United States, not really going to make much of a difference, I don't believe. And that's based on the simple fact that Bitcoin has been through Democrats and Republicans in the White House. It continues to go up. So even now with Joe Biden and his party and everything else in there, trying to basically damage Bitcoin in general with everything that they've been trying to do, Bitcoin has still gone up. So that's just the way I'm looking at it. Let's see. John says, yesterday you said timing the market. Agreed. I need to stay long to allow the miners to grow their business and become profitable so I can reap the rewards. But miners take profits often. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be long too long. You want to be in it before the bull run starts, and you want to be out of it once the bull run starts as well, or not out fully, but take profits as the stuff goes up, right, on it. And let's see what else. Oh, you guys, yeah. Greg says, man, that Pelosi dude has great timing. He knew just when to sell all those Visa shares. I think there's they're going after the debit card business part of Visa or something like that. And yeah, they sold it before that came out. Yeah, perfect timing. That's why I think the best thing to do would be for the congressmen and senators not to be allowed to buy shares, or their family members at that point as well. Spouses, I would say. Others, I mean, you can't really stop other people from doing it, but if you're going to be one of those, your immediate family can be trading stocks. You have too much insider information. Let's see, when will Stronghold become Bitfarms next year? Yes, Q1 is what they're planning on. How do you think Bitfarms goes about HPCI exposure? It's going to be possibly through their Pennsylvania site and through the Stronghold site as well. Stronghold site, Ben said that they might have a unique opportunity there to be able to not have to build out the redundancies in battery backups or diesel generators, because they have interconnects with the power grids and things like that. So they can either run the coal refuse plants that they have there for remediating the coal, spent coal, or they can plug in possibly to the grid as well and use that. So that would be kind of interesting to see there. So I think that would be a good case. Okay. Hey Seb, thoughts on BTC not able to breach previous high of 65 even after 3 tries? Sometimes it takes a couple more tries. Not a big deal there. I've seen this before, where it takes Bitcoin a couple of attempts before it goes above it. But I think it's going to happen either later on this week or early next week sometime. We'll get above 65. Let's see. Joe Dog says, I feel like Dubai owns a lot. Dubai owns a lot. Bhutan also owns a lot. I think Bhutan nation now owns, the third largest or fourth largest holdings with the countries, all the countries that hold Bitcoin. Let's see. Ryan says I should have bought more IREN at 7. I got some more. What did I get it? Mine at 6 something. I think I got in at 7 something. I got in at as well. So I've been buying it also while it's been on the way down. Let's see. Hi Seb. Any chances in your outlook towards Cypher based on the new news? Thanks. Again, that's gonna be tough. Cypher has a lot more growth going into 2025 with their facilities. More so towards the middle of the year and then towards the end of the year. So it's always tough to see where they could possibly go to. And then also with them, depending on what they do with the site now, the 300 megawatt site, which they said they have a lot of interest in by hyperscalers. And again, they might just sell that for a quick double or a 3x on it. We don't know what's going to happen there. Once we get some definitive answers, we might be able to say, okay, they got a great deal with maybe hyperscaler for a lease of the building or infrastructure, whatever this is going to be. It's going to be like a deal that Core Scientific got with CoreWeave. Okay, that's going to be great. That could definitely be added on to it, but right now it's just it's an unknown. Let's see. Hey, Seb, how much will the miners sell off during the next major correction and timing on when they'll be? Next correction should be like in 2026, possibly, if we have a similar cycle. We should reach a new all-time high in 2025. Go back into the bear market if we have a similar cycle at that point. How much will the miners correct? The miners that don't have a significant HPCI business, so that would not include Core or Bit Digital. Everybody else would probably fall. If Bitcoin falls 50%, these guys are going down 80%, 90%. That's kind of the way I would look at it. Let's see. Patrick says, from Ben interview, I feel like he's planning to make Bitfarms to energy providers, maybe HPCI in future besides mining. Yes. He's trying to diversify a little bit, not just be strictly Bitcoin mining, but also have like the energy play on there where they can hedge it, generate revenue on that as well, depending on the economics of Bitcoin. So they have some hedging there maybe. Let's see. Raphael says, I actually have Riot down 28%. Would you buy more to lower the average price, or would you prefer any other miner? Okay, so the tough part with Riot is, can they improve their operational uptime going forward? Jason has stated in the past that they should be operating at about 95% average uptime. So that means they're going to be curtailing on average about 5% throughout the year. Some months might have more curtailment than others, but on average, it should be about 95%. If they can do that, and you have a high conviction that they can do that, I would dollar cost average into them some more, because if they can do that, then their stock should do much better. The other thing is, how will their share-based compensation be for the third quarter? We've seen high share-based compensation in Q1, Q2. That is off-putting to investors. It's off-putting to me as well. That's why I haven't bought into them. Based on that, their operations over the last year and a half to 2 years, those things all really add up. So you got to think about all those things. Let's see. Seb, would you prefer HODL sats per shares or sats per shares? Good question on that one. I think you can look at, I would probably go with sats per share on that one when it comes to production, more or less. What are they producing each month? Because HODL, yeah, that's great that you have a nice big HODL, but your production is going to suffer over a longer period of time if you're not improving that and growing it. So I would go by that. I think HODL is great, but if they're good stewards of HODL also, they would probably sell a portion of it in the bull run. Two companies haven't really done that, Hut 8 and Marathon. So I would kind of discount them on that because they're more likely going to be holding through it. They won't sell it to then use that to grow further, but they're just going to HODL it and dilute shareholders potentially because of it. So, okay. Let's see. Cleanspark was around 23, 24 when BTC was around 71,000. Where do you see Cleanspark when BTC is 90-ish? At 90,000, at that point, you're going up roughly, 50% from here. Cleanspark should be back to probably right around there, 23, 24, maybe around $30 range, somewhere around there, I would think. Let's see, Ryan says, give me another shot at IREN at $7. I think that you might be late on that one. I think that's going to be not coming back. Let's see. Seb, who do you think will mine the third, fourth, and fifth number of coins in September? You mean like the most at that point? I would think it's probably going to be third, fourth, fifth number of coins. So I'm thinking it's going to be probably Marathon again in number 1 spot, Cleanspark number 2, Core number 3, then we got IREN maybe number 4, followed by, who else would, IREN, maybe Riot at number 5 spot, maybe, if their operations are much better. We'll see in the next week. We'll find out. Okay. When do you think is the absolute latest we break all-time high 73,000 this cycle? Latest? I think it'll be in next month. We'll probably break that. I would think easily, possibly 2. Once we get going, then it should be good. If we don't do that in October, then I would think of November. If we don't do that in November, then we're in a different cycle altogether. see. So Mawson landed an AI deal. Does that interest you? I have been flipping it all year for like 5 to 15% gains. Yeah, it's been going up and down. The AI deal is a lifesaver for them. Their own self-mining has been going downhill. They have older generation machines there as well, so that's not good. They've transitioned more over into hosting, and their balance sheet has been great. So this AI deal potentially could be a lifesaver for them. So I think that's great for them, but I need to do a little bit more digging into that one. What's your average share price for your IREN share, Sebastian? Let me take a look at it here really quick. Give me a second. I'll pull up my spreadsheet that I have. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, so IREN, my average share price is $7.12. $7.12. I've been buying it. I'm going to show you guys all the details, but I've been buying it here at pretty low prices in the beginning. I can probably share this with you guys, I think. I'm not going to give anything away. I'll just tell you. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this maybe. Do a quick print screen of it and pull it up. Let me see if I can do that. Okay, let's go. Can I go full screen on this? Let's see. Nope, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, maybe. No, I can't do that either. Okay, let's do this. Just so we hide some information there that you guys don't need to see. All right, let's go here. So you can see here I've been buying it. I don't have the dates on here, but about 150 shares at 310, 200 shares at 302, but then bought some more, 18. All right, I've been buying kind of small up to the point where they came out saying that they're going to get to 30 exahash. That's when I went really heavy. And I bought. That's when I sold a portion of my Cleanspark shares and bought 33,000 of them at that point with 4,500 shares at 747. So I've been buying a lot here. Recently, I've been buying definitely more. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Hey, so what do you think about the possible IBIT options coming into play? I think those will be good for the market overall. Brian says, I've messed up, should have averaged down. Brian, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it, right? You're not going to learn that the first cycle around. You have to learn sometimes the hard way a little bit in order to know the next cycle what to do. But if you got cash right now, buy a little bit more each time it dips, dollar cost averaging a little bit more. Let's see. Matt says, have you heard anything about Auradine? I wish you heard they are good on the mining pod. They might be. Auradine is a company that Marathon invested in quite heavily. Well, I haven't heard much from people as far as one, they can't say anything because they're probably under an NDA as far as when it comes to testing. But I haven't heard anything from the miners on the machines there, so I just don't know. Let's see. Joined late. Did you comment on the SEC claiming BTC mining rigs are securities? Is that a breach of contract case? Seems like SEC is reaching into every corner of the economy stick to stock market. I haven't covered it. And the reason I haven't covered it because somebody debunked that. Let me see if I can find it really quick here. There's somebody on X that actually debunked that a little bit. In the comments of that, let me see here if I can find it really quick. Where can I find that? Let's see. Give me a second, guys and gals. Let's see if I can find that. Let's see if I just search for SEC really quick if I can find it. No, SEC. There was somebody that said that it's okay. Here it is. I think I found it. I hope this is it. Sounds like so. Clickbait. The SEC is calling the green boxes securities, not miners like ant miners. Whatever the green boxes are. So according to the court, the SEC has sufficiently alleged a security in the form of green boxes, computer hardware, coupled with hosting agreements to operate the green boxes. The original lawsuit claims that Green United sold unregistered green boxes that made fraudulent promises. Specifically, the agency said the firm led investors to believe that those products had a digital token they called Green on a purported green blockchain. Additionally, they say that the company led investors to believe Green could increase in value. Instead, the boxes mined Bitcoin, which was not transferred into investors or of the nodes. Okay, so that's basically what they're talking about there. So it's not the hardware itself; it's the green tokens or coins, whatever you want to call them, and that's the issue there, right? So this is why you got to do a little bit more research onto it. And when I saw that, I was like, that doesn't sound right where they could do that with ASIC machines. It's called securities. How are you going to call those securities? Those are not securities. Those are things that you buy. Would they call it securities then? Computers that you buy and everything else. So I didn't talk about it in the beginning because, one, I forgot about it because it was basically a clickbait kind of article. Okay. Okay, talked about that. Let's see here. Bethany says, Ryan, 7 to 8 does not matter if you're selling at 30. Yeah, exactly. If you got cash right now and you think in the long run it's going to do very well, I'm going to be buying. Out of IREN and Bitfarms, which is a safer play, I think maybe slightly IREN, maybe. Just a little bit. Bitfarms because of Riot and everything else that's going on there. If Riot starts selling their 19% of the shares, it could drag the stock down a little bit more. So that's why I would say maybe IREN. Ryan says, Benit, I feel slightly less bad. Thank you. I am confident it is going that high. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're confident and you have high conviction in the stock, it's going to do much better. Continue to buy in. Let's see. Question. If you were buying in today's prices, would you prefer IREN, Cleanspark, or someone else? I would prefer to get all of those guys there, IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and maybe even Core right now. Just get a little bit of a basket of diversification with those guys because you just never know which one's going to do better than the other ones. One good news story could do really well for one of them. One bad story for another one is going to take them down, right? So having a little bit of diversification, I think, always is good. Let's see. Ben confirmed the new 2 exahash isn't affecting the Paraguay mines exahash. He confirmed the 12 exahash. And yeah, I already covered that. Let's see. Okay. P says, I'm down a lot in Riot. Any miner you would swap for it or just hodl? Yeah, I talked about Riot in just a couple minutes ago. That's a tough one. I would like to see much better. So let me just rephrase this. If you have high conviction in them, dollar cost average into them, because if they do fix their operational uptime, that could be a good metric or a good spark for the stock to go up higher potentially. But that's kind of what we're waiting on if that happens. If you're not comfortable with them, you can always go into another miner, right? I've talked about endlessly about IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and others that I think will do very well. Okay. What are your thoughts on Cypher? They are up 40% in the past 2 days. Cypher is getting a bid because of the HPC AI potential there with the site that they just closed on from 300 megawatts. And that's why they're up on that one. Let's see. Bitcoin's next bull run market could peak by late 2025, says crypto analyst. That's kind of what I'm thinking also. Let's see. Ryan says, thanks, Sebastian. I won't mess up next time. Yeah, you're very welcome. We're all learning here. I went through a market, held my bags through it all, went down again. So you learn from your mistakes. You get a little bit also, I think, a thicker skin when it comes to these guys here going forward. Okay. Emma says, I have 2 questions. If Cleanspark has a goal of diluting over a few years, why don't they express that publicly? Well, they don't know how much they're going to dilute and when they're going to dilute, so they can't say they're going to dilute 300 million over the next 5 years when it could take them 8 years, right? So that's the part of it there. It's you as an investor, unfortunately, have to make some educated figures and estimates as far as how long it would take them to dilute. Could they dilute 300 million shares in a year? Yes, they could do it, right? What if they were to go on a buying spree and buy out Marathon, Riot, and everybody else? Could they go through that fast? Yes. Will they do that? Probably not. I see a very low likelihood of them doing that. I think with the how they have right now, Bitcoin going up in value, that value is going to go up 2 to 3x of what it is right now, which is valued at, what's their value at? They got 7,000 Bitcoin. What is that valued at right now? What's up in my head? Is that 540 million, something like that? That goes up 3x. That's 1.5 billion right there. that's enough to, one, weather the bear market and to even grow in the bear market and get much bigger into the next bull run as well. So I think there's going to be much less dilution. That's why I think there's going to be much less dilution. But they're getting close to the end of the rope here where they have the 300 million already in place. Right there at 250 some odd million. They only have a couple tens of millions of dollars left, or tens of millions of shares left. And they need to extend that runway a little bit longer or further out. So that's why they're adding on the 300 million to get to possibly 600 million shares at some point. It's not going to be this year. It's not going to be next year, but it will be down the road, I believe. Okay, Kay says Bitfarms is going to surprise a lot of people very soon. I own both Riot and Bitfarms. I am not very happy about Riot, but Bitfarms will pop one day to where it should have been today, 5 to 5:30, 5:15. Yeah, I'm hoping the same thing. That's kind of what I'm seeing as well. Question: hope to have some money to invest in Bitfarms in January. What do you think it will cost per share, and where do you think Bitfarms will get to over 15? And when do I think that will get to over 15? So simple math here. Let's just say Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, right, by the end of the year. That's roughly, what is that, 60% up from where it is right now, roughly. At that point, I would think Bitfarms should do at least a 2 to 3x, right, somewhere around there, maybe a little bit higher, depending. So that would give them to approximately $5 to like maybe $7 per share. And then to get to 15, you're looking at Bitcoin probably being closer to 150, 180,000 at that point. They could be also getting a little higher there, depending how well they grow in 2025, how fast they get to their 35 exahash target that they have right now, more or less. Could they increase that more also? Yes. There's a lot of things that could be in play here. CB says, with Ben's interview today on McNally Money, has your price prediction changed with Bitfarms and their future plans with HPC? No, because the HPC is not going to be until after probably this bull run here. So that doesn't really have an impact on my thinking of where they could be. The only variable is going to change there is going to be their self-mining. It's going to be more than the 35 exahash that they're talking about next year sometime. That would impact possibly. But at that point, if you're looking at them getting to maybe like 40 or 50 exahash, I'm just saying hypothetically, by the end of the year, it's going to be, most of it's going to be towards the end of the year where we might be already through the bear market at that point. Or sorry, might be at the end of the bull market. What else we got? Let's see. If based on what you say, Cleanspark has a goal of doubling 100% over a few years, why don't they express that publicly? Why would they come out and say that they are doubling their shares? They're not doubling they're doubling the amount of shares that's available to them. But that doesn't mean that's going to be out there diluting all at once, right? You have the ATMs you use it through, and I don't know whether there's something in securities laws that prevents them from doing it. Could they go out there and say that? Maybe, I don't know. But the way I look at it is, look how long it's taken them to go through the 200 million shares that they did dilute roughly in the last 3 years. It took them 3 years to dilute 200 million shares, and their stock price was much lower at that point. They were basically we're building out in a bear market and everything else. So that's kind of where I'm looking at on those types of things. Let's see. Benny says Riot has to keep 15% of the shares. Yeah, I read that too. Is that they have to keep it? Or did they say they can keep buying more if they have more than 15% of the shares? So that's the way I thought it was intended. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Let's see. Rob says Ryan will not sell their shares now that they have board members on, so Riot will not sell their shares. Okay, what else we got here? Can the Dresden nuclear power plant be restarted in Illinois? Another hyperscaler site. Could a Bitcoin miner go there? Is Illinois friendly to BTC mining? We don't hear a lot about companies going into mining here in Illinois. I managed a small mining farm here for a couple of years, 5 years, and it's tough. Dresden, could that be resurrected? Possibly, if the laws here. Historically, the governor has not been friendly for nuclear power plants. I don't know why, but they're not. So there is a possibility, but there would have to be some maybe laws changed or just mindsets changed here in Illinois. But I think Illinois has like what now, five or seven nuclear power plants around the state. What else we got here? Okay, I covered that already. See, Benny says Bitfarms is next to pop. I hope you are right. I'd love to see that too. CK says I bought a lot of Bitfarms. Okay, we have a lot of Bitfarm bulls here. That's nice. V Alpha says buy Riot instead. K says I have a lot of Riot already. Okay. Okay, MS. Why Cleanspark doesn't slowly dilute like other miners? For example, 10% every 3 months. Would they come out and spook out shareholders? Thanks. Well, they're not. That's what I'm trying to get across. It's not that they're going to dilute 300 million shares all at once within the next 3 months or anything like that. It's going to take time. Look how long, I said this before, just a couple of minutes ago. Look how long it has taken them to dilute 200 million shares over 3 years, right? Different scenarios at that point. They're in a different position at this point now. Should take much longer for them to dilute. This is just the number of shares that's available to them to use for dilution. Doesn't mean that they're going to use it all at once. Okay. John says S&P hit another new high. When this happens, Bitcoin every time hits new highs. Nice. See, thanks, Fish. I know IREN has jumped recently and got a bit nervous. Okay, it's going to go up higher eventually. Okay, how confident are you that Bitfarms will outperform most miners in price appreciation? I'm confident they will do well. I don't know if they will outperform others. Right, like I said before, all it takes is a good news story for one of these guys here, HPC customer or anything like that, or growth, and miners are off to the races. So I'm not saying that. I think they will do very well, but I'm not saying that they will have better appreciation. I think they're undervalued from where they should be. They should be 2x from where they are right now. So that might lead to maybe more appreciation that way compared to the other miners. But we'll see. Okay. Let's see. K says Bitfarms will not outperform miners, but it will be between Cypher and Wolf. It will be if they can get an HPC customer there. If they don't get one, stocks are going to be tanking on those two guys. Let's see. SH says, after listening to Ben, I believe he will increase 2025 to around 45 exahash within the next 2 months when he provides 20. That would be great. I think it might be possible for them to do that too. Let's see. Which miners had the lowest cost per coin in Q2? I think it was TeraWolf was the lowest. I think, followed by like Cleanspark, Cypher maybe in there. I feel like it all. I think that was the way it was coming out. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's kind of what I thought it was. What's your price prediction for Cleanspark since shares have been dumped, assuming that if this could still hit 8 to 10x? I'm thinking right now with the dilution that we've seen in them and everything else, my original target was around $70. Right now it's between $60 and $70 is kind of where I'm seeing them, somewhere between there. But that means Bitcoin has to be above like 180,000. Let's see. Would you convert Cypher into IREN and Cleanspark? That is up to you. Cypher, like I said before, the reason I'm not in it is they have a lot more growth into 2025 or in 2025, like towards the middle to end of 2025. That's why I'm not in them. Other companies are going into 2024 and into early 2025 as well. Let's see. Ryan asks, is Illinois a good place to live, Sebastian? It's expensive. Property taxes are crazy high. The wages are kind of high if you live around the metropolitan area of Chicago. Cost of living is kind of high as well. I mean, everything's going up everywhere. So, I don't know. A lot of people are moving out to like Indiana and Wisconsin as well because the taxes are just better at those states. The property taxes, that is. I'm paying almost $11,000 in my property taxes, and my house is only 2,000 some odd square feet. It's crazy. See. Should I trust Mike Alfred? Mike Alfred is very educated, very well known. He's also very well spoken, but he is also a little biased. Everybody's a little biased on their favorites and things like that. So just remember which ones he's in. So there might be a little bias towards those than others as well. Let's see. Do you think Bitcoin will hit a new all-time high by the end of the year? Yeah, I do think so. We could probably even hit that next month. Gary asked, why wouldn't Cleanspark come out and say that they wanted to go up to So 100 million shares. If they don't need to hit it all, then ask for another 100 million shares when it's gone. No plan to sell 300 million. Right. All the companies do that, right? They usually double their share count. Riot went from 400 million shares. They increased that to 800 million shares. Others have done that as well. So it's kind of like the modus operandi with those companies. Well, with any company, mostly. Right. Because it's just, one, it gives you a reserve so you can pull from something. And if you also get a really good deal on something, you have that available to you to use those shares to then buy somebody else out or something like that. More Tim says, good God, you've only explained the Cleanspark share increase is not immediate dilution, only 50x. Why is it so hard for people to understand? Yeah, I mean, they hear increase in shares and they automatically think, so that's why I gotta be patient and kind of walk people through it. Hey, said, what should I do to make Riot pump? Gosh, I don't know. Go work for them, maybe, and fix their uptime issues. Okay. If you could only buy one miner, which one would you pick? That's always a tough question for me. It would have to be somebody between like Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and IREN right now. Even CORZ, I would even put in there. But it's tough. You just never know which one's going to do really well. So, I mean, any one of those I think would be a good pick. Let's see. Kay is referring to Mike there, Mike Alfred. He will hype and unload his shares on you. Sorry for being honest publicly. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, I would just make me put a preface in there. He's got a lot of experience in the back rooms and things like that. He was right on Cleanspark buying Grid Out, right? He's probably right on maybe some other things as well. So you got to look at the overall picture. Yes, is he going to be pumping his own bags up? Of course. He's biased on those. Yes. He's less favorable to like Bitfarms and things like that, where he's, kind of jabbed at them a little bit, which I didn't personally like, and I didn't call him out on it, but I also kind of pressed him on it a little bit, especially when Ben got appointed and things like that. So you just got to take the good with the bad a little bit, I guess, but that's with everybody, right? Nobody's going to be perfect 100% of the time. Nobody's going to, just even with me, right? I'm a little biased on the companies that I'm seeing here, like Cleanspark, Bitfarms, IREN, is because of the metrics that I'm seeing. So I'm biased on that point of view. So always take the good and the bad with people, and for the most part, I think you'll do okay. Just, you got to be careful, as always. Do your own due diligence on everything, and you should be okay. Let's see. Bevanite says, I have a feeling Maro will have a good September numbers. They might, yeah. They've been improving anyway, so that's good. How come no one is talking about Mara? Seems underperforming. Yeah, they have been underperforming since probably beginning of the year, right when they had issues with their uptimes and everything else. Thanks, Seb. You're very welcome. Can you explain a bit more why you think Bitcoin may peak at the end of 2025? Historically, the cycles were that way. So last couple cycles we saw Bitcoin peak in November, December, and I think last one was October? So it seems like they're getting a month shorter each time, as also the halving events are happening like a month faster. We were in May 1 year before, now we were in April. So we're just kind of seeing that kind of thing happening. So that's kind of where I'm thinking where we might peak. But you never know. If it's a different cycle altogether, we could be going up for a couple of years. Who knows? Let's see. Let's see. Borostine says, you're biased because of fundamental analysis. Mike is biased because of stock compensation. Well, he makes it clear that he's on the board of IREN, right? So you kind of have to know that. And then, yes, he's going to be partial to it. But on the other ones, I don't think he's getting compensated by the stocks. He's been bullish on Cypher recently for a while now, it looks like. And who else was he pretty bullish on? I think Cleanspark as well. So, yeah. Like I said, you got to take the good with the bad a little bit. Can you explain Mara blocks? Mara blocks, we're talking about the pool there and how many blocks they mine on the Mara pool. Not sure if that's what you're asking there. Who's the best follow on X for Mara? Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, you got the Mara pigs there, but those guys are a little bit over the top for me. I don't know. Not sure. Let's see. Given the BTC stays the same or keeps going the same range as today, what's the long-term minus share price for the next 6 to 12 months? Wow. Well, if we stay at the same range, we still have a lot of hash rate that's going to be installed. That means we're going to have some reduction in the network hash rate by other miners that are less efficient, less profitable. It would be tough. I mean, you're looking at the hash price staying around those levels, maybe going down a little bit more before it goes back up. That would be tough. Let's see. Kay says, Seb, you're the only one pay membership to without using the Discord. I appreciate your honesty and transparency, but I'm not sure I'll be holding my miners once BTC hits. Yeah, I mean, but thank you very much for that, first of all. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people talking on X, and I'm talking about it here, where Bitcoin possibly could go up much higher than that, but it's not going to be until like the fourth quarter, third quarter of 2025. So I mean, if you sell before that, probably not a bad move. Take your profits. I'm going to be definitely selling once we get close to 100,000, I'm going to be selling a portion of my holdings, like 5% here, 5% there. I'm not going to sell all out. I want to see how this plays out. Let's see. Yeah, Mike Effort can't trade IREN as a board member. That's right. He can buy it at certain times. He has to get approval. There's certain windows where they can buy and sell potentially. So he's got to be within those windows. Let's see. Joe Duck says he likes Cypher and IREN from what I've seen. Yeah, but he's also praised Cleanspark as well on it. And I think Wolf was the other one that I think he praised as well. Bullish on Argo? No. No, I'll be surprised if they make it past this cycle. Don't worry, he says, thanks. I was asking because earlier this year, many people said the cycle was moving faster than previous cycle. It moved faster because we reached a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened before. So it is, in a sense, a little different cycle. Okay. Bivney asks, yeah, Mara Pool blocks. So you can see what Mara Pool blocks they get through the Mara Pool. So if you go to, I think it's btc.com and look for the pools there, you should be able to see Mara's pool itself, and you can see how many blocks they get and what they're getting as far as rewards, all that stuff. That's all in there. It's all publicly available. See, why is everyone so bullish on IREN? Seems like every mining analyst has IREN top picks. Execution, growth, and then the HPCI potential there as well. Those are the reasons for it. Hi, Seb, in 2025, how do you know that top bull cycle is coming to an end? My technical or outflows from ETF or news, by technical, just the historical nature of Bitcoin that we've seen over the last, what is this now, the fourth cycle that we've been through, roughly. So based on those, typically goes in a parabolic rise about 180, 160, 180 days after the halving event, goes in a run for about 12 months or so, something like that. And then we go into a bear market again, slowly, right? And then we go back up slowly before the halving event, and it's just like a cycle that we've seen before. So that's kind of what I'm going off of here. And we'll see. We got a lot more adoption this year. We got ETFs. We got, countries holding Bitcoin now. So it is different and should result in the same kind of cycle where Bitcoin goes up in value. But we'll see. Okay, Gary says, I believe, Crypto Klepto is a favorite for Mara Bull, well liked by analysts, including Seb. Yeah, he's probably one of the more cordial ones, I would say, out of the bunch there. Let's see. Okay. He says, if Kamala wins, market crash is coming. Market general, maybe. But we're also up quite a bit. We need a little bit of pullback, I would think. What do you think about Fred Thiel? Who are your top 3 CEOs, bottom 3 CEOs? Fred, I mean, he's definitely a good salesperson and maybe a really good businessman as well. But, man, they seem to be getting into a lot of stuff here. And they didn't do well back in 2022. 2023 was an improvement. 2022 was a bad year for them. I mean, they were targeting to get to 21 exahash by the end of, I think, 2021. They didn't get there until, when did they get there? In 2023 sometime. So by those accounts, I think they've learned some of the lessons as well, right? Asset light didn't work out that well for them, so they started buying up infrastructure. So I would say he's done an average job, I guess you say. Not a great job, but an okay job there. He's built it to one of the bigger companies here right now. Yes, that's great. But as far as what are my top three, I would say the guys from IREN, Cleanspark. I would also say, who else would I list in there? Bitfarms right now with Ben is doing a much better job. But prior to that, what was the gentleman's name there before that? I thought he was doing a pretty good job. I'm not sure why they ousted him, but it is what it is. So that hasn't been the case for Bitfarms really until recently. I thought the guys at Hive also do a fantastic job there. The bottom three, I would say, was probably Argo with one of those guys there. I can't remember the name there. Argo did a pretty bad job there. Who else has done a pretty bad job? The prior CEOs of CORZ have done a pretty bad job. Yeah, those are the ones I can think of right now. Let's see, if Bitcoin reaches 110,000 by the end of the Q1 or earlier, are you selling? I'll be selling a portion. I won't be selling everything because I just don't know where this cycle will go to. So if I can sell a portion there, and if that's the top, I'm gonna continue to sell going down into it. So maybe I'll be sold out completely by the time Bitcoin goes down to like 90,000 or something like that. We'll see, 90, 80,000, somewhere around there. Yeah, insider trading made all Congress members millionaires. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've caught up to all you guys' questions here, and it's already 10:51, so we're going on an hour as it is already. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday. We'll see what tomorrow brings us. Hopefully it's some more good news instead of bad news. We haven't had any really much news here. Okay. Benny says, I disagree, Seb. I think Fred Theo, as the CEO of Mara, leading miners, deserves more respect. Well, I didn't put him down. I just thought he's done some good things, some bad things. So that's why I say on average. As the pioneers, they are looking into new things so that the other miners can learn. Mara leads the way. And you see it that way. I see it a little bit differently, but that's okay. Right? We don't have to agree on everything. What else we got here? Yes, I think prior Bitfarms CEO was Jeffrey Murphy. Yes. Let's see here. I have 10,000 invested in Ethereum ETF. It's been really underperforming BTC lately. Should I just buy undervalued miners with that amount? Possibly. Would be a better bet. Let's see, Seb, you were saying BTC 100 to 250. Now you still think it's going there? I still think it's possibly going there somewhere. My original number was 180,000 for Bitcoin. Top this cycle. We'll see how close we get there. Others are saying higher. Who knows? We'll get there when we get there. All right. Perfect. Good night, everyone. I'm going to call it a day because I'm sure I'm probably get more and more comments as they come in anyways. So we'll call it a day. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. And then we got a couple more days before the new month of October. And it's amazing how time flies. But I hope you guys have a great night or a great morning, depending where you're watching. Hopefully tomorrow markets are green for us. If not, we'll talk about it anyways. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.